Welcome back. The discovery of a female body over the weekend plunged the nation into shock and horror. However, the nation was left angered over the disturbing trend that is seemingly a must at every crime and accident scene. That is the dissemination of images of the scenes. The angry masses on social media have called for the individuals taking part in the trend to face prosecution. So the Hot 7 team took to the streets to ask you, members of the public, if you share that sentiment.
We've all seen the disturbing trends where scenes of homicides, acts of violence, suicides, vehicular crashes and collisions are crowded with individuals hell-bent on taking photos and videos of the gruesome images. And before you know it, these images are going viral on social media. This act has been condemned by society and law enforcement officials. However, as we could see just this weekend, it continues. And so we decided to ask members of the public whether they think persons perpetrating this act should be penalized or not. Here's what they had to say.
Yes, they should, because this is sad. Imagine you have a daughter and you've seen her that way. This is very sad. Solutions have to stop that. Not nice. You know, I feel very sad for the family. So they need to stop that. They should start charging them.
We should have done something already, made an example of somebody already, because people will continue. This is heartlessness at the highest levels.
Unless actions will be taken for something the government and people have been talking too much in St. Lucia. It's time for action. Stop talking and wake up and make the action.
There are certain pictures that they must not circle around because sometimes they exaggerate, you know, and they expose the people's bodies and all of these things. And I don't think they should do this type. But if something happened and they show it in a decent way, I don't think there is something wrong in that.
Well, to be honest here, my comments I don't even know. Because I see that if something happened and somebody have a photo to expose, it will be good, because I did not even remember the girl that they found at Pigeon Point. And because of the photo, I identify her, I know her. Okay, so it's all right. It's all right. So I don't see nothing in that. I don't see nothing in that to people to burn or whatever. It's good, because sometimes you might not know, sometimes it could be a family. And you don't even know, and when you see a picture, you might know. It's all right.
Yes, they should.
Why?
Because it's wrong. Because they wouldn't like other people to do them that, so it's wrong.
Yeah, simple so, yeah. That's not something, and even to send it on somebody's phone, sometimes you open it, you don't even expecting is that.
How could you possibly think and feel that it's okay to share that particular image, man? We need to forget that we're living in a modern era and start to have a little bit more heart. And whoever is responsible for taking action against these people for sharing, do that. You know what bothers me most about that? It's us women who do it, you know. Especially when there's a video that we have not seen. Guys, share a video for me or send a picture for me. We need to develop some empathy on some level, little bit by little bit, and just stop it. Stop sharing it. If it stops with you, it can't go any further than that.
Well, you just heard what they had to say. If you want a chance to share your opinion, join us next time when you can have your say. Reporting for Hot 7 TV, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
The path has been cleared for Senator Herman Gil Francis to go head-to-head with former Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony in the Vieux Fort South seat. Genevieve Gonzague tells us more.
On Friday, Minister for National Security and Justice Herman Gil Francis was successful in a runoff for the Vieux Fort South constituency against fellow party member Sabina Valmore. Once endorsed by the party, Francis will vie for the seat against the incumbent Dr. Kenny D. Anthony. Francis explained that this constituency is his birth town and he has every intention of giving them the representation they need.
I want to give back to Vieux Fort because this is where I was born. I think I'm on my final days and I want to go back home to see to it that there is change in Vieux Fort. For the number of years that I've lived Vieux Fort has not changed much. And I think that this is an area everybody has recognized the importance of Vieux Fort. Even Sir John called it the new frontier. And the representative who there for the last 24 years has really not looked at it in that light, and so it has to take somebody with the vision and the zeal to make Vieux Fort rise again.
So what are some of the plans that Francis has for the Vieux Fort South constituency?
There are a lot of plans for the constituency, but I don't want anybody to steal some of this, my thunder. So as soon as I'm formally endorsed and the date of election has been given, then you will hear all the plans that are in train for Vieux Fort.
Francis says there is no bad blood between him and the other member of the party who is vying for the seat. He says he is looking forward to working and changing the constituency with his colleague by his side.
She was not my opponent. She's a colleague. We both wanted to do something for Vieux Fort. I think both of us have Vieux Fort at heart. And so I am sure that when we do speak, that she will recognize the bigger picture. So John always said that in my mansion there are many rooms, and so there's an opportunity for everybody to contribute to making Vieux Fort what it is. And I will be expecting and hoping and praying that she sees the bigger picture.
Francis says for too long, the constituency of Vieux Fort South has been neglected, and he has every intention of changing that. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
There have been many assessments, criticisms, and commendations of Philip J. Pierre. The question left to be answered is, can he lead the St. Lucia Labour Party to election victory? Some say what he lacks in charisma, he makes up with technical ability. Both former SLP leader Dr. Kenny Anthony and first deputy leader Dr. Ernest Hilaire have conceded that Philip J. Pierre might not be the most dynamic, but they argue that he is by far the most qualified. Interestingly, political consultant Peter Wickham says Philip J. Pierre is in some ways similar to Alan Chastney. Can Philip J. Pierre lead the opposition St. Lucia Labour Party to an election victory? It is a question that has been keenly debated by many, both outside and within the ranks of the SLP. In some circles, Dr. Ernest Hilaire has been pegged as the next best thing to Dr. Kenny Anthony. The party, for its part, says such a debate is a moot point because there is no leadership question or challenge. Last year, former SLP leader Dr. Kenny Anthony gave Pierre his endorsement, referring to him as a nuts and bolts man. Dr. Ernest Hilaire himself, who has been pegged as the future of the SLP, conceded that Pierre does not possess the dynamism of a Dr. Anthony, but says what he lacks in that department, he makes up for in competence. Barbados-based political analyst Peter Wickham is keeping a close eye on how the St. Lucia election is shaping up. He says some of the expectations of Philip J. Pierre as the SLP leader are clearly unrealistic.
He definitely doesn't have the dynamism that one may want to see, but then again, neither did Prime Minister Chastney at that point in time. You would recall that if you attempt to compare Chastney to leaders like Dr. Anthony, and I would say even Mr. Compton, it's a different style of leadership. And I tend to think that the comparisons that we are making is that people are expecting Jean-Pierre to be Dr. Anthony, and they're expecting him to lead like Dr. Anthony and to have Dr. Anthony's flair. I don't believe it's going to happen, and I think that we have to give leaders the opportunity to be themselves. He certainly doesn't measure, in my eyes, as I would have expected a leader to measure. But, Prime Minister Chastney has grown into the role, so it's entirely possible that he will grow into that role too.
For those who tout Dr. Hilaire's political prowess, Wickham says while he understands the comparisons and arguments, any attempt at a leadership change at this time would be a foolish decision by the SLP.
I don't think the St. Lucia Labour Party is going to change leadership. No, they can't go back to Dr. Anthony. And I think that to move Philip Jean-Pierre at this stage would be highly unwise because I think that they understand that as well. So I think that they're pretty much stuck with him. I realize when you see him as a person and you see Dr. Hilaire, the level of fight appears to be different. Of course, Dr. Hilaire is a younger person, but then he has his own baggage too. I mean, his performance in the last election left much to be desired. He's currently engaged in a battle that speaks to his integrity with the Prime Minister. And I mean, this is also a battle, I think, that will be a factor. So I don't believe that he is necessarily without any kind of encumbrance or hindrance in terms of going forward.
Philip Japie at the helm of the SLP and Dr. Ernest Hilaire as his first deputy leader certainly make a formidable team by many people's standards, and Labour has consistently touted its standard and quality of candidates. All eyes are on Team Labour to see if the slogan of putting people first strikes a chord with the electorate and leads to a victory at the polls. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.